to it, because we're showing things that I've been around this industry for a long time. My name is Jonathan Jones, by the way. And just for the record, today is June the 9th, 2024. You've been invited to this conference call by someone who cared a lot about you. We're going to be talking about the subject that you see on the screen, the fact that last Sunday was National Cancer Survivors Day, and we're doing part two. It's June the 9th. We're doing part two of that because something significant has taken place, and it centers around the face that you see on the screen on that slide right now. That's Dr. Kedar Prasad. We'll tell you a little bit about him in just a moment, because the man has done something that is earth-shattering and revolutionary. It's changing outcomes. And as I was just saying, that even if you do believe that when you see something that looks too good to be true, that maybe it was AI generated or that someone fabricated this, I assure you that nothing has been fabricated. I personally, prior to this case with Brazil, had personally never laid eyes on the images that you're going to see today. I'd never seen anything like it before. But we're sharing it now. Now we're coming out and just sharing it. And she's given us permission to share it because she wants people to know that there are options out there. She spent an entire year of her life trying to find options, something that could actually make a difference and give her hope and a potential better outcome. Someone gave her a recommendation that led to her coming in contact with what Dr. Prasad has formulated. And we personally can't stop talking about it. And we're going to share the information with anyone who wants to hear it. That's what we're going to do. But be aware that the FDA has not evaluated the statements that we're making. Testimonials are anecdotal. We have to make sure that you understand that. Our results are atypical. What happens to one person may not happen to you. Neither the Healthcare Support Association of America, Engage Global, Dr. Prasad, Jonathan Jones, or any of the authorized representatives are making claims that any supplements that are recommended or discussed will treat or cure any disease state. Only the government is allowed to declare a nutritional supplement to be a treatment or cure for a disease. This presentation is for information and educational purposes only. It's not intended to be a substitute for a visit to your doctor. We strongly recommend that you seek the competent medical advice of professionals that you trust. But you now will have information that you can take into consideration when making decisions about your health and well-being. And that's what our goal is to share with you today. So on top of the list, we need to remind you why cancer is such an important part of our conversation and discussion today. It's because it's still the number 2 leading cause of death. There are some scientists who believe that it's really third on the list. They believe that the number 1 cause of death is iatrogenics, medical mistakes. That's what some people believe. But you can see here on this list that number 3 is actually iatrogenics. That's unintended injuries or accidental death. That's the number 3 leading cause of death. But cancer, well, it actually says number 4 because COVID is number 3. But just recently, they've taken COVID off the number 3 spot, and they don't believe that COVID is still the number 3 leading cause of death. But that was as of I think last year or so. But anyway, the number 2 leading cause of death right now still is considered to be cancer. It is a very serious subject. Of the types of cancer that are the highest types of cancer that cause death is breast cancer and prostate cancer is right behind it. So I asked Dr. Prasad if he'll make a couple of comments on prostate cancer today. I don't know if he will or not, but if he does, we need to hear that. And because we're talking about National Cancer Survivors Day, it's important for us to at least identify the fact that there are 5 different main or primary ways that cancer is treated: surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, targeted therapy, and immunotherapy. So advances are being made. Improvement has been made. There's right now a clinical study taking place right now where they are touting a vaccine, an injection that gets rid of cancer. It's only about $30,000 to get the injection, and that's great. I think that if it does become something that works, that's fantastic. They're also working on mRNA technology, a vaccine, they call it, for cancer. So there's a lot of things in the works. So science is doing a great deal of work in trying to make progress with it. But we're talking about the here and the now and today. Today, the treatments tend to be very, very difficult and very harsh. And Dr. Prasad used the expression toxic and often cause many side effects. So speaking of Dr. Prasad, I'm only going to tell you just a little bit about it. You got the screen in front of you. Please take a screenshot of it. But Dr. Prasad is world renowned. He was the world's first radiation biology PhD. Dr. Prasad was professor at the University of Colorado School of Medicine for more than 30 years. Dr. Prasad discovered that vitamin E succinate is an anti-cancer agent. He also discovered that butyric acid, a small byproduct, there it is, it's on top of the list there. Butyric acid is also an anti-cancer agent. That's in the gut. That causes by fermentation of certain fibers in the gut. Dr. Prasad is the scientist who discovered that. He was invited to be a member of the Nobel Peace Prize nominating committee and so many other things. He's authored more than 33 books, been published more than 250 times in peer-reviewed publications, and most recently he was published because he decided to document research regarding his hypothesis on how the body can actually have an impact on cancer, and what specific things can be done to stop the proliferation of cancer. In fact, his paper, if you look at his paper, Dr. Prasad was the one who has now written down, and he's got, and by the way, it's patented, his patented research, his formula, that I'm looking for Dr. Prasad's name on the list here. Oh, there it is. So I could add him to the spotlight. Dr. Prasad's paper has been published that all you have to do is block the uptake of glucose. Boy, I'm just getting tongue-tied today, Dr. Prasad. Block the uptake of glucose and block the uptake of glutamine, and the cancer has a hard time living. In fact, those are two necessary things to keep it alive. And we have just been so excited. We can't stop talking about that research. And every person that I talk to, that I tell about that, they stare at me like I said something bad, use some foul language or something. But Dr. Prasad, I think that's one of the most amazing things ever. Thank you very much for joining us, sir, for part 2 of our discussion on National
Thank you,
Cancer
Jonathan. I always enjoy with you and our engaged family. And anything I can do to contribute it, I will be more than happy.
Well, there's no question about it. The one thing that you do to contribute to the success of these programs is you show up. So I have to say that because folks don't come here because they want to hear me talk and babble. They want to hear the maestro and things that you guys say. They love hearing the testimonials too, because it validates what you say.
Exactly.
Because there's one thing for a scientist to say something, but when there's human beings and real cases that substantiate what you claim, it's a game changer, Dr. Prasad. So I want to ask you one question. I got 2 questions for you. And then we're going to talk about Brazil's story. Last week, Leland told his story about prostate cancer. And I went back and replayed it so I could hear it kind of carefully. He credits his survival and all of his positive outcome to your formulas. But in his story, he mentioned that his PSA count went up to 250. Now, most people have a cardiac arrest. They go into a total panic if their PSA goes to 10 or 15 or 20. So can you give us a little bit of information about the PSA test? And is that that tell you you've got cancer? What's the story with this?
Yeah, PSA is kind of a initial test for prostate cancer. And as you know, if it is high, they are considered possibility. But there are also sometimes false positive results. Now, there was a study on an older individual, but healthy, without sign of prostate cancer. And they said that what other agent can increase the PSA level? They were normal individuals, nothing else. And they found out if there is infection, urinary infection or prostate infection, PSA will go up. If a person is on medication, such as a Advil, or any kind of anti-inflammatory drugs, the PSA will go up. Even heart cholesterol lowering medication in an older individual, if they have this thing will be go when the PSA will go high. So there are many reasons for PSA to go high, but one of the reasons is also prostate cancer, and that has to be so. Anytime you have a high level, then you worry about, then you get diagnosed by standard methodology whether he has a prostate cancer or not. And if he's not a prostate cancer, then this is okay.
Gotcha.
So PSA sometimes is also, once it is established that it is linked to prostate cancer, then it is used as a measure of progress of the disease. Is it decreasing size or it is increasing in size?
Gotcha.
And so I think one has to understand under what condition you are talking about a rise in it is the established patient and of the prostate cancer, and PSA is increasing. That is sign that the disease is progressing, and something additional efforts have to be made to control it. But if person is a normal, then there is a different issue.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it has
Gotcha.
to be established patient with prostate cancer. Then prostate can be as an initial evaluation system, not 100% correct, but at least is a good parameter to start with.
Right. Very good. Yeah, because I was told by one of the scientists, and I have confirmed this, that even women can test high. Their PSA count would be high. They don't have a prostate.
Yeah. Also, sometimes older people are on testosterone.
That's right.
As a supplement.
Right.
And that can increase also the PSA level in a normal individual. But as I said, it becomes more important if it is linked to prostate, diagnosed fully by a standard methodology, that, yeah, he has a prostate cancer.
Right.
But just by seeing the high-level prostate does not mean that person has a prostate cancer until you establish it.
Right. Okay. Okay. Well, we're going to ask you some more questions about that down the road, and maybe even offline, because there's some studies that are trying to indicate that vitamin E can
No. No, I look over the literature after you call, but no, that's not true. Antioxidant has nothing to do with that. But if there is a low dose antioxidant, then of course that may stimulate the growth of any cancer, including prostate cancer. But high dose antioxidant, there is no evidence as yet until it can happen under certain conditions. Who knows? And also the question is that sometimes, like in a brain cancer, the high dose antioxidant may not penetrate high enough to have a killing effect selectively, like blocking the glucose and glutamine uptake. And so there could be a certain organs, and prostate may be one of those organs, I don't know, where the accumulation any place where the blood supply is poor, okay, then it is a high probability that the antioxidant may not be sufficient amount, maybe, and so one has to just go as the tumor response occurs and follow the guideline. You see what I mean?
Yes.
But
We've
everything
seen
on this issue is, it is possible in some cases it worked, in other cases it may not work for a variety of other reasons.
Right. Could be any number of reasons. Well, we've seen more than one case. We've got several examples of individuals with prostate problems where their PSA was very high, and they were diagnosed with a cancer that eventually their doctors told them that it was no longer there, and they relied heavily on your formula. So so we do know that it is effective.
The question also is that are they following exactly the same protocol as the other, like Leland follow it, or other people follow regression, or are they different one?
Yeah, most of them are doing the same thing, and here's the thing that we're just trying to establish overall.
Also the same thing is not only are they taking a capsule form, are they taking a hydro form,
Right.
All these consistencies has to be defined, and then you can say that, yeah, okay.
Okay, gotcha. So, but the main thing here, Dr. Prasad, is high doses of your formula, we know this, is
Mhm.
antioxidants,
Mhm.
blocks the uptake of two required
Right.
elements
Yeah, that's right.
for cancer to survive. So you could actually be having a major progression
Mhm.
of starving the cancer while your
Mhm.
PSA may be going in a different direction for other reasons.
Yeah, possible something, but I think the thing is that's why sometimes, sometime in that kind of scenario,
Right.
like you're mentioning, that if the prostate, despite of the fact he's taking exactly the same dose of high dose antioxidant as the other people who had a prostate cancer, but his tumor is progressing. In that scenario, it will be very, very important to have some radiation or chemotherapy and continue to take this high dose antioxidant so that it will protect against the toxicity of the treatment, and he will be doing very well.
That's it. Okay. So even if it is determined that it's still that the cancer is in fact progressing, then that
Yes.
would mean just continue with the high doses while you're doing the other treatments, conventional treatments. Okay, very good.
No, don't discontinue it. Continue it while you are getting conventional treatment. And
then it will protect the rest of the body.
That's right. Then
Okay.
it becomes a protective. So this is what I would do it. It happens to me.
Gotcha.
But still it will be paradox to know why in some cases it works and why it does not come. And therefore it is very important to know the background, the age, and what else they were doing it. Were they were drinking. I mean, why it is responding differently. You see what I mean?
Right. But understand something, Dr. Prasad. Like in that one case, we have at this point no evidence that the cancer is not responding. All we have is that the PSA went higher. That's it.
That's right. That's why I said that, it could be higher for a variety of reasons that I mentioned.
For a variety of reasons.
And therefore, it has to be established that, yes, cancer is growing. And
Right.
then you take a standard therapy while continue this antioxidant therapy, because that will at least protect it.
Excellent. Okay, good. Thank you very much for sharing that. So I put the disclaimer up here, folks, because we're getting ready to just share with you real quickly one story that I think sets the stage for the main discussion that we want to pass on to you with Brazil, because we want to get Dr. Prasad's comments on how it is that that Brazil got the results that she got. Now, this story right here, we're not going to share the recording. This has been played a number of times, but just to summarize it for folks, this woman's name is Iris, and Iris received surgery. She received 8 rounds of chemo and 33 rounds of radiation. And when she tells her story, she says that she had no side effects at all from any of the treatment. And to this day, she still remains.
She was taking the therapeutic dose during the treatment.
Correct. She took the therapeutic doses throughout the treatment, and she had no side effects at all.
That's what I expect. Yeah. Good to know.
So she was very happy.
Yeah, good.
She was very happy with her results overall. So that's one example. And that kind of tells folks exactly what Dr. Prasad has been telling us, is that we're talking about improving the outcome. Even if when a person chooses, maintain whatever your doctor tells you, do what the doctor tells you, that's fine, but you get better results when you add this formula to the equation. So I put a little warning up here. So if anybody does not want to see an exposed body parts or open wounds or flesh and live cancer, then you don't want to look now. You can turn your monitor off. You can keep your sound on if you want to, but you don't want to look. Okay, so here's the story that's going to be told, and we're going to invite Alfreda into our discussion. So Alfreda, can you, Jeff, maybe if you could add Alfreda to the spotlight, because we want Alfreda to maybe share this story. We're going to tell a little bit more of the details, Dr. Prasad, and then at the end of it, Dr. Prasad, we want your comments on help us to understand what happened, in Brazil's case, if you don't mind. Okay.
Sure.
So okay, so Alfreda's with us. You want to introduce the story here, Alfreda?
Okay. Yes. So I believe we met Brazil. I got introduced to her at the end of January, and by her cousin, and by also Norma Vaughn, and so who was the affiliate. And so we had a discussion, and then I, of course, did a three-way conference. Well, actually, it was a four-way conference with her cousin, myself, and you. And it was really, really urgent that we started, right away, helped Brazil to understand how the products were going to help her. And she decided to get started, and I'm so thankful that she did. So we started, I guess our timeline was starting the products in February. And when she came to us, she had been trying maybe, I think, and probably even a little more, over 22 different things
Oh yeah.
that had like kind of gotten her to this point, but it did not get rid of the cancer. So when she came to us, she was in a really critical state. Especially, we could tell that once we saw, um, what was going on and the pictures. So
Which is
it was
just looking at her face at the time, Brazil, and I mean, Alfreda, she looks healthy now, but when we
yes,
saw her in January, she looked emaciated. I mean, she's thin.
yeah.
What,
You can see
Mhm.
was
here,
she
but
getting a chemotherapy or radiation therapy at the time?
no.
No, she did not want to take either one of those courses of treatment due to other family members having issues with it. And Brazil, she's very informed. She doesn't just take what doctors say. She does her research. So she felt that that was not the best way for her to go. That's why she had tried all of these other natural
Mm.
therapies. And so I think the challenge with us was to help her feel comfortable that all she needed was your formula, Dr. Prasad. And
Mhm.
so that was the kind of the obstacle in the beginning.
Right. And just along that same line, as long as she wasn't um distorting the formula with other vitamins and things, we said, fine, keep your herbs. She would come to the conclusion on her own that she could drop off certain things. So as you can see, the diagnosis was triple negative breast cancer, and that's the way she described it. And I'm going to play part of her story again for the sake of those who are here for the first time. But
And I just what I want to say about the triple negative cancer. This is so aggressive that the prognosis of survival is extremely poor. Because all the therapy that you give them, triple negative is very resistant to all therapy. So this
yeah,
is the most dangerous form of breast cancer, is triple negative.
wow,
Okay.
wow. I don't know why it is that hearing it from you right now just sends chills up and down my spine, as much as I've known that. But anyway, thank you so much for clarifying that. So she describes this in her own words in a little bit, but go ahead, Alfreda, tell us what this is.
Well, if I can remember correctly, this was what happened in July, August of 2023. And it was after, I believe, a CAT scan
A PET scan, yeah.
that she had, and they injected the dye. And she said that about from 3 days to a week after that dye was injected, the tumor started to grow. And so as we found out that there is uh, sugar, glucose in the dye, and with her diagnosis, it really was detrimental to her. So we have the picture from August 2023. Then she took another picture in September, and you see that it's starting to come to a head. And then in October 16th of 2023, it had protruded outside of the breast now and was continuing to grow. And we hadn't even met her at this point. These were just pictures that she sent to us of her progress before um, meeting us. So we didn't meet her until, like the end of January of 2024.
And by the time January of 2024 comes along, this next picture is mind numbing to see how large this thing had advanced by this point. So.
Yes, and so this, when we saw this, it was very, very disturbing, and we knew that she was in a very not good state. If you can imagine having, if you want to compare that to the size of a football,
Well, she
because
measured it, didn't she?
Yeah, 11 inches wide, and it was,
That's about 5 inches tall.
right. And then it was also deep. And then, there was still tumor beneath the skin also. So it was very massive and not a good situation at that time.
And so by this point, we suggested that she get started on the therapeutic doses of Dr. Prasad's formula, and she incorporated it right away. And what was interesting is about a month later is when she described her first question, by the way, was, what do you have for pain? And I said, well, what we think will help you with the pain is you need to solve the problem. So we don't have anything specifically for pain in this case, but solve the problem. So later on, she says to us, after the first week, she had, at the very beginning, she had 7 morphine levels of pain, 7 level 10 pain spots, distinct spots that she could count, that it was at level 10. After the first week, it had gone down to 4. And after the second week, it was just down to 1. She said she no longer felt like she wanted to kill herself.
Well, the other thing too with the picture, the white areas we found out later was Pseudomonas, which is a bacterial infection, which is very deadly just by itself. And so, they gave her, this was later on, but, we didn't identify it till, or put 2 and 2 together till later on.
They treated her for infection, yes.
Yeah, they started treating her for that, the Pseudomonas.
This thing was viciously killing her. So this is February of
So they treated her
2024.
with antibiotics.
Yes, they began to treat her with antibiotics, and this thing was causing her blood count to go down. So the doctors were giving her blood transfusions, and we put her on a different protocol to try to raise her blood count naturally, and it did. In fact, one of the doctors said to her, "We don't understand why your blood count is going up by itself." So they were very happy to see that it was working for her. So by February, she's in a much better shape. She was literally living her life a little bit, even though this looks like, how can you live? But she had this football was hanging off the side of her chest, and she kept it wrapped up, and she went on living. She was going out to dinner and feeling more confident. Everything was changing for this woman by this point. And what about the next month here, Alfreda? By this point, the mass is actually no longer growing. By March, is that right?
Yes, it was starting to die. As you can see, it even appears it's not as wide as it was, in the other picture, and then she actually in the first week, as the tumor was starting to die, she had pieces that were falling off.
Yeah.
And they were small pieces. She did, I don't know if you're going to show that picture. She did have a picture of that for us and showed it in comparison to a penny. And so we, you know, going forward, we were kind of hopeful. You know, I didn't know how we were going to get this mass off of her. I thought maybe it would get to a smaller, more a smaller size where they would then remove it surgically, where it would be safe. Because she, you know, in other areas too, because of this, other things about her health were very touchy, you know, because she only had one transfusion, but it was due to her taking some Advil for pain, and it caused her to start bleeding to the point where she had to go to the hospital. So it's like while we were working with her, we really tried to stay in constant contact with her, because if we missed a few days, we had missed a lot in the progress of what was going on with her, because different things could happen, you know, within a day or two. So, you know, it was
Yes.
scary and yet amazing just to see what was happening.
Yeah, and everybody's miles apart. So now this is a photograph here that was actually taken by the oncologist
Mhm.
just before she chose to do radiation.
Mhm.
And so this is in April of 2024. The oncologist took this is the before picture taken by the oncologist, and 5 days later, this was the after picture, and it's now down to about 5 inches or so. So it's 4 or 5 inches. It's a fraction of what it was prior to the treatment. So she got slammed pretty heavy with radiation at this point. And we're gonna let her tell part of the story, but we're showing you the picture so you can have some idea of what she's talking about. And then where is this now, Alfreda?
Well, this is
6 weeks.
it says six weeks post radiation,
But
but
this is after the
it's
radiation.
yeah, I don't think this is 6.
Yeah, no, this is
This
6 weeks
picture,
after the radiation started. So this is actually 4 weeks after the radiation ended,
okay,
because
okay,
under here is where the mass was. There's no longer a
yeah,
mass anymore. All of this is gone. So the
right.
entire mass has gone. It was never surgically removed, Dr. Prasad. It's just not
Mm.
there anymore.
Mm.
Yeah, and that was much to, you know, it's like we had to from the beginning. It's like we had to get her to where she was stable, you know, and not at risk of leaving here. So once we got her stable, and her doctors kept wanting her to do chemo and radiation. So we know that with Dr. Prasad's formula, that it will protect you from the side effects, you know, of the radiation. So once we got her to a stable point, she made the decision to try 5 days of radiation. And so, but even through that, at day 3, she wanted to quit. Not because it was uh,
Brutal. And she felt like,
they were yeah, it was brutal. They weren't you know, for the hospital staff, it was just routine. You know, they weren't paying attention to, you know, her as a person, you
yeah,
know, but
she described her own flesh, smelling her own flesh burning.
yeah.
So she took only 3 radiation dose.
No, she did. Her doctor called her when she heard that and implored her to do the next 2 because they could see progress
Mhm.
by the 3rd time.
Right,
They could see
right.
progress of the cancer dying.
Mhm.
And so she went ahead and finished the 5.
Good.
And you know, I'm glad that she did, that we
Right.
were able to help her, you know, get to that point where,
Tell them what the doctor said, Alfreda.
well, it was kind of funny because, you know, you had talked with this doctor, and the doctor still wanted her to stop taking the products. And
Mm.
so while she did this, and so my when she let us know that, my response was, um, if you stop taking the Dr. Prasad's formula, it's going to be very detrimental to your health. And you know, I tried to say that in so that she could really understand the seriousness of not taking that. We had gotten her, pulled her off the ledge with your products, and then it was very important to protect herself during this next step because it is so damaging to people, not just Brazil, but everybody with
But,
radiation. And so
but the
she
part where
decided
the
to go.
doctor said after the 3rd treatment, what did the doctor say?
Oh, well, the doctor was saying that after they finished the 5 and she came back in a week, the doctor pulled up her chair and flipped it around and straddled the chair and told her that she had never seen results like this.
Mm.
And she thought that the doctor was going to tell her that she needed to do further radiation and chemo again. And the doctor said, no, you don't have to do anything else because of the dramatic progress that was made. Um, she had progress that even the radiologist said it would take months for a patient to get to that. She had that within, you know, I think the first week, if I remember correctly.
Well, I
Um,
got one of her messages, Alfreda, where she said that the oncologist said that thing is dying and it's continuing to die. Go back to the people who are helping you and
yeah,
basically follow their instructions.
yeah. So
She had
initially she
never
was like,
seen anything
stop
like that
taking it.
before.
She was like, stop taking it. And then she of course, she realized that she didn't stop taking it. And she probably remembered the words that you told her, Dr. Prasad. And she told her to go back and finish, let them finish helping you. And she wanted to see her even sooner, like weekly, instead of like every few weeks, because she wanted to see the progress herself.
Mhm.
So it was something that was very enlightening to the doctor and the radiologist and the personnel at the hospital.
Mm.
So maybe Dr. Prasad, I do still want to play part of Brazil's own comments, but maybe you could just try to help us to understand, what did we just see here, Dr. Prasad? I mean, there's 140 connections on this meeting right now,
Yeah.
and on the edge of their seat, they're trying to figure out what just happened here. Please help us.
Yeah, I think the thing that tumor was so big that high dose antioxidant by itself, in other words, it was so advanced that may not have been sufficient. And therefore, taking the help of radiation that kills cancer cell, immediately. And at the same time, it protected the normal tissue, and therefore recovery happens faster. So in other words, the combination kill more cells than just the radiation alone or chemotherapy or the vitamin alone. So when you combine them together, one is killing the cell by free radical mechanism, another is killing by depriving them any surviving cells. Because some of these tumors also have what is called hypoxic cell. Hypoxic, but they have less oxygen, especially cancer like that, many tumors, and they are very resistant to radiation. they cannot be killed by radiation. So, but those cells can be killed by a high-dose antioxidant, and therefore combination of those two had a dramatic effect in her case, while at the same time protecting the neighboring normal tissue, because there is a antioxidant as a protective agent rather than as a killing agent, cell killing agents. And so I think this is a very, very interesting story because it tells you because the larger the tumor becomes, more hypoxic cell, means that area of the cell is less oxygen. And if you have less oxygen, we call them hypoxic cell. And hypoxic cells are well known, very resistant to radiation. You cannot kill them by radiation.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very resistant. And that's why, but radiation was killing the cell which was oxygenated by free radical. And at the same time, high-dose antioxidants killing also hypoxic cell. And also the oxygenated cell, both killing together.
Oh,
So
wow.
combination was dramatic effect.
Wow.
I
This
didn't know that.
Dr. Prasad, I'm
That's
I'm
amazing.
speechless.
Yes.
I'm speechless. We've never got those words out of you before because we've
Yeah.
never had this situation before.
Yeah. Because any kind of tumor, larger the tumor, the proportion of hypoxic cell, we call it, is larger. And they become very resistant to radiation. They become very resistant to chemotherapy. And so they can be killed very easily. But for high dose antioxidant makes no difference. What kind of cell you, as long as you are cancerous, I will kill you.
Wow.
By depriving the glucose and glutamine.
That's interesting. And it fits Dr. Prasad because I think Alfreda might have been a little off on the timeline, but after that third dose, that's when I got the text because Brazil said she was not going to go do any more. And she told the doctor she wasn't going to do anymore, but the doctor begged her to continue. And he said, because Brazil said it's not getting any smaller. The doctor said, we can see what you can't see.
Right.
And that's when she said that thing is dying
That was
and
very smart
continuing to
suggestion.
die.
Yeah, that was very good suggestion by doctor.
So the doctor says she could see it was dying. So what you're describing is exactly what she must have been aware of, that the radiation was having she said she's never seen anything like that before by the third dose.
Yeah.
So by the fifth dose,
oxygenated cell will be killed with radiation very effectively.
Wow.
By generating free radicals.
Wow. Well, that's incredible. That's incredible. So do you mind if I go ahead and we play some of her story just so for the audience that's here,
sure.
especially those who are here for the first time.
Sure.
We have 10 minutes left in our discussion now. We're going to let maybe 8 minutes of her story play.
Sure.
And then I will tell folks how they can get access to the products because folks want to know that. But they can hear from Brazil herself. We invited her on, by the way. And the only reason she's not able to be here now, she just got out of the hospital. But just one guess as to why she was in the hospital, by the way. The radiation had slammed her so hard that it affected her bones in her spine. There were actually cracks in her spine, and they identified not from cancer. She is now fighting the aftermath of the treatment for the cancer, not the cancer. I think that that's pretty remarkable, personally.
That's very remarkable. Yeah.
I mean, I hate that she's in pain like that, but the one thing you don't want it to be, most people would think right away she's in the hospital because she still got cancer, which is probably what they all thought. But when she got there, they found out she's just suffering with the after effects of the radiation.
But after the effect of radiation, for example, if she has a pain, she can use what do you call other devices like CBD. Can use it, and they are very important for pain.
Oh, yeah. Well, she's got lots of that. She takes that like Tic Tac. So she takes that like Tic Tac. So we got her on that.
Oh, okay. So then it is okay. Yeah.
Yeah, she's gotten very good at managing it. So for her to go to the hospital, it was beyond anything that she had been doing to control it.
What kind of effects she's having?
She's just released now, but it was cracks in her spine.
Crack in the spine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, a spine. Yeah, that's she's taking that's tough.
Well, from the pictures, you could,
Physical therapy maybe helps, some of those things.
She
Yeah,
just got released.
yeah, from the picture last week, you were mentioning it looked like she had gotten over radiated, because they did radiate her on her back too. Somehow it got on her back. So
they were slamming her from every direction.
yeah.
Wow.
I see.
Every direction. Okay, so let me see if we can get her to play.
I wasn't sure where life was going. The doctors were extremely scary. Their prognosis was, we have help for you to help you live 5 years. I wasn't satisfied with that because I figured I want to go past 5 years.
What was the diagnosis?
The diagnosis was triple negative breast cancer in my left breast with, which is a very known to be what they call an aggressive, fast growing cancer.
Mhm.
And triple negative means you have no responsive hormones.
Yeah.
So they can't treat you the more traditional way that they do people who have hormones, because they have pills and other solutions for them, which have a higher success rate in cure. So they did all kinds of tests, figuring it must be in my family history. It was not. Did a big survey, genealogy study. It was not anywhere in my family. So that was out the door. We have no idea where it came from, what started it, what caused it. I figure environmental toxins, poisons or something, but that's not been answered. So when they kept coming up with, they said it has to be hereditary. And I'm like, it's not in my family. Breast cancer is not even in my family. Out of maybe 400 relatives that I know of, only 2 people had breast cancer. One on one side of the family, one on the other. And they're cousins, not direct relatives.
And what was the date of the diagnosis?
March of 2022. I don't remember the exact date.
Okay.
So I went on to, I figured I'm going to do a lot of holistic stuff. I got with a holistic lady who knows a lot about herbs and vitamins and stuff like that. And I just decided to have it cut out because it was pretty small, size of a lima bean or smaller. And we did that. And it was 3 days after the surgery, there was another lump right next to where the first one was. And they thought that was a cyst or scar tissue, and it got bigger. So then they thought it was a hematoma. So months went by before we figured out that also was plus I wasn't anxious to go back and have another test because I wasn't trusting the medical system because they kept being wrong about things they were saying. But I was feeling okay. I just had this issue. So, and the trauma behind it, that wasn't, but I mean, physically I was feeling okay. So then they said, well, we can't believe it. You're an anomaly. If we can't believe you had another lump 3 days later and that it grew like this. We don't understand your cancer. It's very unique and different. We may have to treat it different. It may not respond to traditional chemotherapy the same way, but we can try various things. So they were talking about 15 weeks of chemotherapy, 3 months of radiation. And I said, that sounds like you're just going to destroy my body trying to go after the cancer. And my soul said, don't do the chemo. It screamed it. And so I said, I'm listening. Anyway, so I did more holistic stuff, got pretty dedicated, but it was still there and it was not growing much. So I went back to the hospital. I let them do their test with the CT scan and the bone scan. And after they put that dye in me, that little bitty tumor grew like in the next week, it like tripled in size. Mm-hmm. And so I started studying whatever was in that dye, talked to some other people, and they said the sugars in that dye feed the cancer. And if the cancer wasn't well fed before because you would quit eating sugar and things like that, you just gave it a huge boost. Now, the people who do the test either know nothing about this or they think I'm crazy for saying it's what's in the dye, but it does have a huge amount of sugar in the whatever it is for the CAT scan. And so I decided I wasn't going to go their method. And months went by and it was still there and it wasn't growing. It was just there. And all the holistic stuff I knew to do was not making it go away. So I let them test it again. I forgot why, but maybe 6 months later, right after they tested it again, it grew and popped out my skin. And so I told them the only time this thing accelerates is when I do these CAT scans. And they were like, well, we've never heard of that. I said, is anybody paying attention like I am? And they said, well, we don't know. Usually people are already in chemo by now. And so you're doing something totally different. So anyway, I found another person who put me on a strict diet, cleansing the body, detoxing the body, going vegan. But a lot of the stuff she wanted me to eat, I'd never heard of. And it was being very stressful trying to eat healthy vegetables that like I had never heard of, quinoa and all these things that I not only had to find, I had to figure out how to make. And by then I'm being affected by this growth is on the outside of my body causing it's draining, it's bleeding. So now it is affecting my health and my psyche, my mental state. So, Links, told me to give you all a call. And, I was thinking maybe if I can get healthy, I can be strong enough to do chemo. And I still wasn't feeling like that was the right way to go. I wasn't against radiation. I didn't fear it. I just didn't know if it would, they didn't feel like it would even do the job. They figure it's going to miss cells. So that I wasn't really looking at that as an option, but I was waiting for something to come. At the same time, doing the best with all the people I already knew. I was combining from the first holistic lady and all her formulas of vitamins and what not to eat to the lady who wanted me to be vegan, to strip your body of toxins from meat and things. But then I wasn't getting enough nutrients. I lost a lot of weight. My protein dropped like crazy. So then my body's natural immune system wasn't able to do what it was doing. So I won't say it was her fault, but I just wasn't able to follow her strict guidelines and her foreign guidelines. And she prepares everything from scratch, no restaurant, anything. But she also owns a restaurant and has a huge garden in the South. So she's able to do that. And I'm in Ohio where, you can't plant stuff year round. And who has time? You're sick to go grow a garden and eat out of it exclusively. So I had to buy a lot of stuff from the store. So I might have been picking up hormones and toxins in the food still, even though I was trying to get the more healthy products. That was time consuming in its own stress, just finding food and eating it. Anyway, when I came across, I called Alfreda under Link's advisement, and y'all put me on a whole different road. And I started watching some of Dr. Prasad's videos. And I was thinking, my passport had expired and I was already trying to get it together in case I figured outside the country, they treat you better than they do here. But I didn't know where to go. I didn't want to just go across the border and say help, But he had the same methods that I was looking for, which is somebody who's advanced and not following traditional things that don't work that this country has been doing. My mother died from bone cancer 26 years ago, and they were using the exact same medicine. And I'm thinking it was not the cancer left her body. She died from the side effects of the treatment, which a lot of people do. So I was saying they're using the exact same toxins. And an uncle who I rarely ever talk to, who's in his 90s, called me and said, whatever you do, don't do the chemo. And I was thinking, well, he calls me like every 5 years. So that was like his intuition. So I was listening. So thankfully, when I started on the Micro D and these other products, I started feeling better, feeling more confident, had more support, got information in a different way. And it's still hard to make that transition because then you have to realize you've got something that's not working that you're accustomed to. And then you have to go to something that's foreign to you, but it looked hopeful. So this is the more information I got, the more that I received. I'm like, well, this was like going out of the country, but I was able to stay home and do it. So, because it was a method not traditional to the United States, you know, which is only chemo radiation, and they're like locked into it, and they're building the biggest hospitals all over the place to treat everything, but they're not preventing a thing, which is what I think they should be putting their time and money into, is prevention, you know, clean up the planet. But
that was
anyway,
February of this year.
February of this year, but I didn't really start the products because I got things here and there. One product here, one product there. Started putting into my diet slowly. So February, I would say maybe the second or third week of February is when I had 2 or 3 of the products, because first I got the micro D, and you know, I didn't all take everything the first day I got it. So it's probably the second or third week of February when my regimen really kicked in, as taking everything that y'all were sending me.
She goes on to describe, you know, a number of things that that she did and how she ultimately benefited. But as you can see, her description here is all about the transition that she went through, and all the pictures that we shared are all pictures that that she describes. And she goes on at the end of this to just express her thanks, Dr. Prasad, for everything that you have done and for giving her and other people hope, something that they can actually lean on that has a potential for changing their lives. So I don't know, Dr. Prasad, this is an unusual one. And you said it yourself that this is, when it comes to triple negative, it's the one that is one of the most aggressive and one of the worst ones to survive.
Yes.
So are we to conclude here that then that we really do have something that that potentially could make a difference in people's lives?
Yes, I think in a combination, like, you know, in this case, especially advanced cases, like they are very resistant to triple negative, is very aggressive tumor and resistant to therapy. And in the end, really, you don't get any benefit and people die. And so the combination that was the unique here in this case, because as I said, you know, depending upon what size of the tumor is, if tumor is big, like in her case, a combination therapy is must with radiation. And you don't have to have a chemo. I think just radiation is sufficient. And but in that scenario, you know, these are very important issues that, you know, you have to have a kind of, you know, what you call a report, case report type of a study on this one.
Oh, you're going to get that. And I think the oncologist is going to sign off on it. So
yeah, sign off, and I will write it, because she was describing the great detail with the dates and things and picture and everything. It will be very important.
Very good, very good. We're going to make sure that that happens.
And,
so for
and
those
I think this is that's why I say sometimes combination is very important.
Right.
Sometimes, if the earlier stage tumor, there is no hypoxic cell, or, you know, the earlier stage, then by itself could be sufficient. But if doctor recommends take the radiation, don't hesitate to take it, because it will not do that damage to your system. Normal tissue will be protected.
That's right. And in her case, Dr. Prasad, just to make sure everyone understands this, she also has vitiligo, so her skin is extremely sensitive.
Not only that, but she also got a back, you know, back radiation, you know, which is unusual. But I'm not a radiation oncologist. I think locally just here should have been enough. I don't know why they gave a backside.
They had it going, Dr. Prasad, they had it going everywhere. They like put her in a microwave. It was really sad.
Yeah, because, you know, that area is generally breast cancer. They just irradiate breast tissue. Not back tissue. That's just insane.
They went everywhere, Dr. Prasad.
But anyway,
they did under her arm. Yeah, they did under her arm, and they removed 2 healthy lymph nodes too.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Those are a standard procedure. There I cannot disagree, but I would disagree by giving radiation therapy in the back for breast cancer, you know.
And for the benefit, just to kind of conclude, because we've gone over time, just to kind of wrap it up for those, especially those who are here for the first time, we still have almost 140 connections still, which means that there's well over 200 people on this conference. This is the product that Brazil was taking.
Yeah.
So this is the formula that Dr. Prasad put together.
How
but
much
she
he was,
took it
he was
in-
taking? How many
She
per
took
day?
it in therapeutic dosages. So where it says up here, take 1 stick twice a day,
Uh-huh.
she was taking 3 sticks
Three
3
times.
times a day. She
Yeah,
was
that's
taking it
fine.
morning, noon, and night.
Yeah, that's perfect. This is a standard.
Because
Yeah.
in her case, because it was so huge, that was critically important.
Yeah.
She did make sure, as Dr. Prasad recommended, she took the probiotic daily, which is extremely good.
Very important. Very, very important.
We didn't have her on the omega, and of course, we did not have her on collagen, but this
Of
is
course,
also
collagen is a no-no. Yeah.
a very important thing for the rest of us. For the rest of us who are not fighting cancer, this is the combination
Yeah.
we're going to go with Dr. Prasad. So for
Just,
those of you who are wondering,
sometimes in future, I just finished a manuscript where we showed the importance of 4 in
Mhm.
hearing disorders. The number
Ah.
of people having a difficulty in hearing is enormous in this country and worldwide. 20% of the world population have
Oh,
a
yeah.
hearing problem.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so I decided to write it and how each of these components is helpful in maintaining a normal hearing.
Wow.
So I just sent it for publication. Let's see if it gets accepted.
Wow. That's good. That's good to hear. No pun intended. And then for those who have digestive issues as we get older, that's the problem.
Yes.
Dr.
Yes.
Prasad has this formula together. And
Yes.
this one right here, just take a quick look at that, folks. That's important, but just don't let that slip out of your mind. The brain boost. Dr. Prasad has also put together a sleep boost. I take 3 of those every night, along with a couple of these. And it
I do too. I also take same.
that puts me into REM sleep. I'm in la la land. And it's very simple, folks. The company Engage Global subsidizes our health. So if we were to try to buy this off the shelf, if you went to try to buy the individual components that make up the ingredients, it would be thousands of dollars. If you went to buy it retail, it would cost you $310, these items here. But you, if you subscribe to it, Engage Global has taken the price not 25% off, which would be about $230 or $40. They've dropped it down to $199.99. So you cannot get a better deal than this one right here. So just talk to the person who invited you, and they will help you sign up for a subscription to the products. And then what you want to do is, if you are dealing with cancer, save the collagen for later, because once you're past your cancer stage, then you can take the collagen. But add 2 more micro daily to your order, and that covers you to get you the therapeutic dosage of the product. And just to have you aware of what's happening next week, and this is why I said take note of the brain boost. This happens to be national. The month of June is National Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month. So
Really?
we're going to be talking about the brain next week. So if Dr. Prasad is able to make it, we're going to have that discussion. If he can't make it, we know what he's going to say, and we've got all that information captured. So there's something special that we want to announce. Engage Global is also going to give you a free brain boost this month if you purchase the Core 4. So in honor of the fact that this is our National Brain Awareness Month, you'll get a free brain boost every time you subscribe to the Core 4. But make sure that you call in. Don't forget, no pun intended again, call in to place that order, and they'll make sure that the brain boost gets added to your order. If you happen to be on a budget and $199 is just pushing the envelope too far for you, then at the very least you want to go with the basic bundle, the micro daily EMF and the probiotic. The retail price would be $164, but you're getting it for $110. So you just can't get better than that. But these are all your options. All the options are here: the basic bundle, the premium bundle, and the Core 4. Get back to the person who invited you to this discussion, and they will answer your questions. They will guide you along the way as to what to do. But please take a screenshot of this right now. National Brain Awareness Month next week. So once again, though, for the record, today is June the 9th. And it's been my pleasure and privilege to be your host and moderator. Alfreda, thank you so much for your participation as co-host. Jeff, Dr. PK, for your participation as co-host. And Dr. Prasad, we can't thank you enough, sir, because
Sure.
we are very much aware that the truth of the matter is that a lot of folks are alive because of what you've done. There are people whose lives have changed because of what you have done and what you have put in motion. And Dr. Prasad, we would not be having conversations about these products and you're going down these roads with telling people to add these micronutrients to their diet and to their protocol while they're being treated for cancer or anything. We wouldn't be having those conversations, Dr. Prasad, if you had not passed that information on to us, if you had not given us that information. You've given us something to work with, something that will change things for people and actually gives folks a great deal of hope. So thank you very much again for all that you do. So anyone who would like to unmute, feel free to do so. If you want to say goodbye to Dr. Prasad, now is your opportunity to do so.
Love and thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Prasad.
Bye.
Thank you. It's been a blessing.